So one of the questions that we got recently on our community site was about schools. And I mean, some of this, I take a deep breath because it's pretty anxiety provoking for me as well. Not only having my own daughter go back to school, but also us opening up a center again. I've got a few centers in Toronto we're reopening and putting a whole bunch of COVID policies into effect. We're able to do some one-to-one ABA. Well, we do primarily one-to-one ABA, but we also do some social skills groups that, have to look a little bit differently now because of, physical distancing, et cetera. And Shira, you've recently gone back to at your center.
Yeah, so we've been open really through the summer, and we've been it's been going really well. We've been servicing kids, but we're having to keep them within their classrooms, within their, it's called cohort here. And we're not allowed to really mix them amongst kids. And that brings up a lot of questions in terms of, well, how do you provide service if you have to go from room to room? How do you run groups if you have to pull kids from different rooms? Kind of what are those expectations, or how can we change things so that we're still meeting our kids' needs with all these restrictions?
So the question that came up online was, what do I do when I'm an RBT or I'm a BCBA in a school and I can't really do ABA? Is there any way I can bring ABA into the classroom?
Yeah. And so I think that part of the question was that she is doing pull out. So having to pull out kids, leads to a bunch of problems because, you're mixing kids and they have to stay in their classroom or whatever the rules are. I'm not really sure. I'm sure they change from school to school. So something that I've been doing in the school that I work in is I've put the trained ABA therapists in each one of the classrooms. I know this is a huge luxury, but even taking one of the staff that are already there or taking one of the EAs that are already there and training them on how to teach direct instruction programs, give them a language for learning that they can do, how to run ABA style programs, how to take data, and potentially making your time into more supervisory. So you can supervise because where I am, I'm allowed to go into the room with a mask. I can't get too close to the kids. So being able to really just observe and train is a little bit more doable than me taking each of the kids out of the room. We partition off the room so that there are corners of the room where kids can work a little bit, more distraction free. So we do have that luxury as well. And then when we do have kids coming in for group, they may have to wear a mask. If that's the only alternative, then the kids, they are older. So some of the kids coming for our group skills are a little bit older. So we can expect them to wear a mask and hand washing and all of that. And that's kind of how we're dealing with it.
The other thing would be, again, I'm trying to interpret a question. If your question was more so, well, here's what I was given and I can't do anything else. So I've been given, I'm in a classroom, I can't really do much. The teacher's got her own curriculum and I'm just kind of there as support. Think about some overall ABA principles versus your discrete trial stuff. So some ABA principles would be things like schedules. Do the kids have schedules in place? You can either put those in place yourself or train the teacher in terms of here's how to write a schedule. Or, if there's any type of harder programs or harder subjects for the student, even doing the first then, so teaching the teacher to say, okay, first I'm going to put this in place and then I'm going to do this. Or first, you've got 3 questions and then you can have a break of this long. Implementing timers, implementing possibly token economy systems, or even just a token system whereby they're not earning reinforcement edibles or anything like that, but they're earning, access to a break, or they're just, good, that program's done. You've done 5 math programs. There are questions, that's all you need to do. 5 math programs, can you imagine? Oh my gosh, be there all day. So things like that you can probably put into place. It's not going to be ideal. You're not running a platinum program anymore because you can't pull kids out, but being able to implement a few things. Other things would be, talking to the teacher in the classroom about what he or she is going to teach the following week, and being able to prime the students, or being able to send certain things home and say, hey, next week we're going to talk about apples. So, hey, mom, dad, here's some information on apples. Or, hey, we're going to read this story. Here's the link to the YouTube video on it. So that some of the learners that you're supporting in the classroom can have that information ahead of time so they really understand what's happening in the classroom.
But I also wonder why you couldn't, I guess depending on the restrictions where you live, why you couldn't pull a kid similar to any other therapy, have one kid at a time, sanitize in between, wear a mask as the instructor. So I don't know, maybe you guys know different, where you are, there's different restrictions, or maybe you're not allowed to do that. Where we are, I think that would be allowed. You'd be allowed to take a kid, work one-on-one, especially if it's you're not physically needing to interact with them and it's more of an instructional type of thing.
If you can't leave the classroom because you're bursting the bubble, then it could even be just taking, the student, into a corner of the classroom if possible. if that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
So